Why the Sky is Far Away, a Nigerian folk tale, retold by Mary Joan Gerson, pictures by Carla Golby. In the beginning, the sky was very close to the earth. In that time, men and women did not have to sow crops and harvest them. They did not have to prepare soup and cook rice. The children did not have to carry water from the stream or gather sticks for fire. Anybody who was hungry just reached up, took a piece of sky, and ate it. It was delicious. Sometimes the sky tasted like meat stew, sometimes like roasted corn, and sometimes like ripe pineapple. There was very little work to do, so people spent their time weaving beautiful cloths, carving handsome statues, and retelling tales of adventures. And there were always festivals to prepare for. The musicians practiced, and mask makers carved their masks in secret, and everywhere the children watched the preparations in wonder. The king of the land was called Oba, and his court was magnificent. At the royal palace was a team of servants whose only work was to cut and shape the sky for ceremonies. But the sky was growing angry because people were wasteful. Most often they took more than they could possibly eat and threw the leftovers onto garbage heaps. "I am tired of seeing myself soured and spoiled on every rubbish bin on the land," brooded the sky. So one morning at sunrise, the sky turned very dark. Thick black clouds gathered over Oba's palace, and great voice boomed out from above. "Oba, mighty one, you people have wasted my gifts. I am tired of seeing myself on heaps of garbage everywhere. I warn you, do not waste my gifts any longer, or they will no longer be yours." The Oba, in terror, sent messengers carrying the sky's warning to every corner of the land. In every village, people were told about the sky's unhappiness. The children were warned never to take a piece of sky unless they were truly hungry. People were very, very careful. That is, for a while. Then the time arrived for the greatest festival of the year. It was the festival that celebrated the power of Oba. The most important palace dancers performed all through the night, and Oba himself, in ceremonial robes, danced for his subjects. But the 5th day there was rejoicing in every home and on every street. The Oba knew, though, that the dancing and the merriment people might forget the sky's warning, so he made sure no one took more sky than he or she absolutely needed. Now, there was a woman in this kingdom who was never satisfied. She could barely move when she wore all the weighty coral necklaces her husband had bought her, but she still craved more necklaces. She had 11 children of her own, but she felt her house was empty. And most of all, Adis loved to eat. On the very last night of the celebration, Adis and her husband were invited to Oba's palace. There they danced and ate well past midnight. What an evening it was, Adis thought later, standing in her own garden again. How I wish I could relive that tonight. The drumming I heard, the riches I saw, the food I ate. She looked up at the sky, and hoping to taste again the cocoa yams and meat stew the sky had offered, she took a huge piece to eat, and had only finished 1/3 of it when she could swallow no more. "What have I done?" wailed Adis. "I cannot throw this away." "Odo!" she screamed, calling her husband. "Come and finish this piece of sky for me." Her husband, exhausted from dancing all night and stuffed with his sky he had eaten at the Oba's palace, could only take 2 bites. "Wake the children!" screamed Adis. Now the children had spent all night at the masquerade and party after their dinner, and most of them were still too full to even nibble at their mother's piece of sky. The neighbors were called, and the neighbors were called, but Adie still held in her hand a big chunk of sky. "What does it matter?" she said finally. "One more piece of sky on the rubbish heap." And just to make sure it didn't matter, she buried it and the leftover in the garbage bin in the back of her house. Suddenly the ground shook with thunder. Lightning creased the sky above the Oba's palace, but no rain fell. "Oba, mighty one," boomed a voice from above, "your people have not treated me with respect. Now I will leave you and move far away." "But what will we eat?" cried Oba. "How will we live?" "You must learn how to plow the land and gather crops and hunt in the forest," answered the sky. "Perhaps through your own labor you will learn not to waste the gifts of nature." No one in the land slept very well that night. The rising sun uncovered the heads of men and women and children peering over the rooftops and through windows, straining to see if the sky had really left them. It truly had. It had sailed upward, far out of their reach. From that day onward, men and women and children had to grow their own food. They tilled the land and planted crops and harvested them. And far above them rested the sky, distant and blue, just as it does today. The end.